Welcome to the New World Order Disorder, a weekly broadcast hosted by Dr. Gianni Hayes. Stay tuned. Things are about to get interesting.
Well, good evening, listeners. This is Dr. Gianni Hayes, and yes, I am back. And I was in various countries talking about the New World Order and the various things that are developing based upon prophecy and other materials, and I certainly promoted American Voice Radio. But I understand that while I was gone, that my co-host, Henry Daniels, did a fantastic job, and I say congratulations to you, Henry.
Well, thank you very much, Gianni. It was a lot of fun, but I'm glad that you're back.
Oh, that's sweet. Well, as you know, listeners, that you are listening to American Voice Radio. We're one of the largest and most well-heard newscast radio, I'll get this right, Frank. It's been a few weeks. Radio news network around the world, and you can hear us a variety of ways, and Henry's going to help me out because there are really 9 ways, and I sometimes forget them. But, of course, FM and AM stations across the country, shortwave, iPods, cell phones. Help me out here, Henry.
Satellite.
Go ahead. Satellite.
KU-band satellite.
Go ahead.
There's 6 audio streams, and the way to listen on the Internet, you can connect through TalkStream Live, and that's a very important venue to connect to us. Once you go to TalkStream Live, you can find your name or the name of the show, Gianni Hayes, PhD. Then click on that, and then click to the American Voice. And each time our listeners do that, it counts, and it helps our statistics with TalkStream Live.
And we want to add, please do not forget to go to GianniHayes.net, because Henry does that site. And let me tell you, listeners, he does one fantastic job. I mean, he has YouTubes up there and everything about the guests that you want to know. So please, it's just very simply www.GianniHayes.net. And thank you, Henry, because you do a great job with that. Don't forget, you could call in. We're toll-free, and the number is 1-800-596-8191. Is that right, Henry?
Correct. And then the long-distance number, if you have unlimited long distance and you want to not cost the American Voice Radio for your calls, and I'm sure you may have, some people do have that. The number to dial is 541-826-9159. And
we also want to say that if you would like to get in on the chat room, because always there are people in the chat room and they come in with their ideas and questions and whatnot, you just go to American Voice Radio on the left-hand side. It says chat. And you just click on that, and you put any name you want in the chat room, and you're right there in the chat room. And, Henry, what I would like for you to do is, first we want to remind everybody that you need to get a wave shield for your cell phones to prevent radiation, and all you have to do is go to American Voice Radio store, and they are on sale there, and they make great Christmas gifts, too. And it protects some 99.9% of the radiation that cell phones emit. But listen, Henry, why don't you give out the phone bridge and introduce our first guest so we can roll?
Okay. We have a phone bridge that you can call in, or you can tell friends that do not have access to the Internet or satellite. You can actually listen to us over a standard telephone. And if you have speaker phone, great. And to do that is the phone bridge is 218-862-7200. And then once you connect there is an entry code that'll allow you to get into the conference. It's 3611113. And tonight's guest for the first hour, we have Mr. Texe Mars. He is an author, a radio host, and former professor. And tonight's topic is our President Rothschild's puppet. Tex Mars has appeared on the show, on Gianni's show, a number of times. He's also instructive and knowledgeable, which is why he's a favorite among listeners. He's a retired United States Air Force officer. He's taught at the University of Texas at Austin from 1977 to 1982, and he is the author of some 35 books on Bible prophecy, secret societies, the New Age movements, and world affairs. Mr. Mars is the president of the Power of Prophecy Ministries and Rivercrest Publishing in Austin, Texas. He is the editor of the newsletter Power of Prophecy. He is a well-known researcher, author, and radio host, and a former military officer, as well as a professor. Mr. Mars returns to the show tonight to discuss in detail the concentration camps, presidential candidates, and why he believes Israel is Babylon. He states that Obama is Rothschild's choice for the U.S. presidency and that there is a hidden cabal behind the plot to murder America. Chosen by hidden superiors, we discovered that President Barack Obama is an heir to a terrible master plan conceived long ago, now being lethally implemented. Barack Obama has become the ultimate instrument in a dark plot to destruct and murder America. Mr. Mars is a public speaker, Bible prophecy expert, and a former professor of American defense policy, international affairs, and political science at what I said earlier at the University of Texas at Austin. And we welcome Mr. Tex Mars to the show.
Welcome, Tex.
Hey, great to be with you again, and I've just been looking forward to this, and such an important topic. Our country's in a real disastrous situation, the whole world, and this global treaty in Copenhagen is waiting for us, and a complete change in our medical delivery system. It just seems like everything is cascading down on us. So I appreciate being here and shining the light of truth on things, and then let every person decide for themselves what we're going to do next, because we're in real trouble.
Well, Tex, it's always a pleasure to have you on my show. You've been coming on my show for as long as I've been doing it, and I always get a pleasure because, since you started your Power of Prophecy ministry, I've always bought tapes from you, and I've learned a lot, and I love that you're accessible and knowledgeable, and you read a lot, and you're right about this whole situation with Obama. And what concerns me, I think, more than anything, is that he is not going to pay attention to what the people want. He's going to do what the power brokers, the power elite want. Would you not say that's the case?
Oh, Johnny, this is so amazing what is happening. Imagine a man going over to Europe and accepting the Nobel Peace Prize, and within 2 days sending 30,000 more troops over to Afghanistan to kill, and some of them to die themselves. Plus, we're prosecuting a war in Iraq, in Pakistan, and Afghanistan. Here's a man fighting 3 wars, threatening another nation, Iran, and accepting a peace prize. What kind of a warped world and a president do we have here? But I also saw him on TV this week, and I'm sure you did, where he said that he wasn't elected to the office of president to help these fat cat bankers. Now, see, here again, it's like, he accepts a peace prize and then sends 30,000 people to die and kill in Afghanistan. At the same time, actually, he does represent these fat cat bankers, as he calls them. In fact, I've got it right in my hand here from MSNBC.com. They're certainly not unfavorable to Bill Clinton or to this man, Barack Obama. Obama names 110 White House visitors. Would you like to know, the first year who went to the White House the most? Well, the White House, after getting all kind of requests for this information, finally admitted, gave out at least 110 names, and bank CEOs lead the list. Here's some names. AIG Chairman Maurice Greenberg, remember they got over $150 billion. There's ExxonMobil CEO, the Chevron CEO, Citigroup Bank President Vikram Pandit, Goldman Sachs CEO Lloyd Blankfein, J.P. Morgan's James Dimon, Bank of America CEO Kenneth Lewis, John Stumpf of Wells Fargo. There's Morgan Stanley, State Street Bank, Bank of New York Mellon. Even the American Bankers Association CEO Ed Yingling can go on. And of course, you have to throw in GE's CEO Mr. Immelt and Microsoft Gates and Ballmer. So notice, the little people aren't invited to the White House. There's been no meeting of the little people or talk show host or American Voice. I didn't get my invitation. I bet none of the listeners did. But think of it. AIG, Goldman Sachs, Citibank, J.P. Morgan, Wells Fargo, the usual suspects that ripped America's heart out by making up these fake derivatives, leveraging, up to 70 times the real assets they had. And by the way, Mr. Ben Bernanke was just named the Person of the Year by Time Magazine.
Yep.
And guess what? They have never yet required any of these banks to sell or to give to the public any of their toxic assets. You can be a homeless person, but they're not going to put you or even help you get one of those houses that's laying decayed out in the desert outside Las Vegas that was foreclosed on. So these banks still have all their toxic assets. And by the way, I have done some research. I now discover, and people are going to find out about this very soon. Guess what? The securitization, the so-called derivatives market, is back in operation now. And Lloyd Blankfein, the Zionist banker who heads Goldman Sachs, actually was asked what he considered his most important work. And you know what he said? I'm doing God's work. These bankers who've torn America up, they say they're doing God's work. Well, what God? Lucifer? The God of money? It's an incredible situation. So he is working for the fat cat bankers, and all of them are a bunch of swindlers. And these Zionist Jews, I'm sorry to say, but they have been placed in every position of power. I think you can only name a couple out of hundreds that are not Jews all around Rothschild's choice, Barack Obama. In fact, I don't think he's really president of the United States. I think he's a figurehead, and he can't say or do anything, not even Michelle Obama, without their approval. They're watching him like vultures 24 hours a day.
Well, I actually do think that that's the case. But, I have about, 3 emails here, texts from people, and one is from Terry Gravich, and I've known Terry for years. He does Conspiracy Archives, and he talks about a trip that he took to Russia, and I think this has actually been on the Internet. And he says that he went into a home of a person he knew and met this person's wife, and his wife said to him, and this was several years ago, before Barack Obama was even with Acorn, but this had happened several years ago. And this woman said to him, what if I told you, this is quote, what if I told you that you will have a black president very soon and he will be a communist? And this guy who sent this to me could not believe it. Now, how would she get that information, do you think? I mean, she was in Russia, and she knew without a doubt that there was going to be a black man, and he was going to be a communist, and later on, his name comes out.
Well, I show in my video, Rothschild's Choice, that there is a hidden cabal behind Obama, and their plot is to murder America. In terms of our sovereignty, our Constitution, but I believe they're going to end up murdering tens of millions of people unless we stop them. So Obama, though, has been raised up, trained, groomed to be a communist leader. He is a communist, although Zionism is a much stronger faction. And you have to understand that Zionist Jews actually gave us Soviet communism, and then they also helped Mao Zedong to fund and to found Red Chinese communism. And this is why Obama and all of his cohorts in the White House, the Pazars and all the others, that all of them so much favor Mao Zedong. They even quote Mao Zedong as a great philosopher.